WorldComEDU. Elite Children's Classics.
Daddy Longlegs. Blue Wednesday. There were 97 in all orphans, and Jerusha Abbott at 17 was the oldest. Because of this questionable position, she was in charge of the other 96. At the John Grier Orphanage, the first Wednesday of every month was a perfectly awful day. It was the trustees' inspection day. Every inch of the orphanage and the orphans had to be scrubbed from top to bottom. After one such trying Wednesday, Jerusha was summoned to the matron's office. She was the stern Mrs. Lippett. Fearing something terrible, Jerusha was greatly startled to find one of the male trustees still there. As she approached the office, her eyes caught the elongated shadow of the man against the wall. The exaggerated shadow portrayed two grotesquely spidery legs and arms like a huge wavering daddy longlegs. To Jerusha's surprise, she learned from Mrs. Lippett that this tall, spindle-legged trustee was to become her benefactor. That very morning, Jerusha's English teacher had read aloud to the trustees a paper written by Jerusha. Even though the paper ridiculed the orphanage, it did it with such a uniquely humorous flair that the man immediately recognized Jerusha's writing ability and generously offered to send her to college to become a writer. Mrs. Lippett continued talking.
He has 2 wishes which he requests you to strictly follow. He wishes to remain completely anonymous. You can call him Mr. John Smith, and you should write to him once a month. He will, however, never answer any of your letters.
The letters of Miss Jerusha Abbott to Mr. Daddy Longlegs Smith. 24th September. Dear kind trustee who sends orphans to college. College is the biggest, most bewildering place. I constantly get lost. It's strange to write to someone I don't know. Just having someone care about me after a lifetime of being alone makes me feel I have a sort of family. It's a comfortable sensation. I've decided I can't call you John Smith, and instead will call you Mr. Daddy Longlegs. Please, don't think I'm being disrespectful. And please, don't tell Mrs. Lippett. Yours most respectfully, Jerusha Abbott. 10th October. Dear Daddy Longlegs, did you know that Mrs. Lippett chooses the orphan babies' last names from the telephone book and the Christian names from anywhere? She got Jerusha from a tombstone. I've decided to call myself Judy from now on. I'm getting to know Jerusha, Judy Abbott, for the first time. I hope we'll both like her. Yours always, Judy. P.S. Sally McBride likes me. P.S.S. Some girls are homesick. Not me. Who ever heard of being orphanage sick? 15th November. Dear Daddy Longlegs, your generous monthly allowance provided me with 6 new dresses. They're not even hand-me-downs. This never happens to an orphan, and I am most grateful to you. I'm wondering if you're completely bald or just a little bald, and if you're awfully old or just a little old. I'm not supposed to ask any questions, but perhaps your secretary could send a telegraph simply stating, Mr. Smith is quite bald, or is not bald. You can deduct the postage from the telegram from my next allowance. Yours ever, Judy. Christmas Vacation. Dear Daddy Longlegs, vacation is here and I am delightfully happy. Your 5 gold pieces were a wondrous gift. Everything I have you have given to me. I bought 7 things for myself with the money, and I'm pretending that each gift came from a different relative. You see, I'm pretending I have a family. No one here knows I'm an orphan, and I desperately don't want them to know. Is it proper for me to send you my love? If not, please excuse me. I must love someone, and it can't be Mrs. Lippett, so it must be you. Your Judy. 10th January. Dearest Daddy Longlegs, your fondest hopes are for me to be a writer, and you'll be pleased to know my poem will be in our school magazine. 2 friends visited my room tonight and talked about their grandmothers. I can't think of anything I'd rather have. Would you object to being my grandmother? Good night, Granny. I love you dearly. Judy. The Infirmary, 2nd April. Dear Daddy Longlegs, I'm having terrible thoughts. Please forgive me, but sometimes I think you don't care about me. You never answer my letters. These past days I've been sick, lonely, and miserable. Forgive my bad manners. I was badly brought up. Yours with love, Judy. The Infirmary, 4th April. Dearest Daddy Longlegs, some lovely pink rosebuds just arrived with a card from you. This is the first real, true present I have ever received. I'm so happy I'm crying. Now I know you really care about me. Yours forever, Judy. 27th May. Dear Daddy Longlegs, Esk. A letter came from Mrs. Lippett. She said I should stay and work at the orphanage during summer vacation. I hate the John Grier home. I'd rather die than go back. Yours most truthfully, Judy. P.S. Today I met an absolutely wonderful man named Jervis Pendleton. He's the uncle of one of my classmates, Julia Rutledge Pendleton. We spent most of the day together laughing and chatting. 9th June. Dear Daddy Longlegs, happy day! My exams are finished, and my good news is that I'm not going back to the orphanage, but rather to Lock Willow Farm. The school arranged for me to stay there for my 3-month summer vacation. I know it will be a heavenly spot. Good night, Judy. Lock Willow, 12th July. Dear Daddy Longlegs, what a coincidence! I have just discovered that Jervis Pendleton used to own this farm. He's a lovely man, and I've wished many times that he was my uncle instead of Julia's. Today, I read an old book I found in the attic. On the inside cover is scrawled in a little boy's handwriting, Jervis Pendleton. He must have loved this book because it looked so well worn. Jervis and Judy will have fun together reading it again and again. Everyone here talks so much about Jervis that I'm beginning to believe he lives right here with us. I remain your affectionate orphan, Judy Abbott. 15th September. Dear Daddy, the summer is over. I am 9 pounds heavier, a sophomore, and much to my surprise, rooming with my good friend, Sally McBride, and my not-such-a-good friend, Julia Rutledge Pendleton. Imagine me, a penniless John Grier home orphan, rooming with a rich, high society and snooty Pendleton. Yours ever, Judy. 12th November. Dear Daddy Longlegs, Sally McBride has invited me to spend Christmas with her family. My first experience living with a complete family. The McBrides have children, parents, grandparents, and a cat. Yours, Judy. 31st December. Dear Daddy Longlegs, Sally lives in the kind of house I've always dreamed of. I walked from room to room and drink in the furnishings. And her family is so nice. Everyone laughs and jokes and talks all at once. We've had many parties, but the best one was the dance for me. It was my first dance, and I wore a white gown I bought with your Christmas money. Also, I danced with Sally's big, good-looking brother, Jimmy. He's a Princeton University student. Yours, Judy. P.S. I'm not getting much writing done. Do you think I'll ever be the great author you want me to be? 6:30 p.m. Saturday. Dear Daddy, back at school. Julia's desirable, handsome, and young uncle visited again this afternoon. He brought a 5-pound box of chocolates. Everyone says he looks too young to be Julia's uncle. We talked happily about Loch Willow, and he asked me many questions about his favorite places there. Julia said she had never seen him so amiable. Apparently, he's usually pretty grumpy. Yours ever, Judy. P.S. I must admit there is one scandalous blot in my career. I ran away from the orphanage once because they punished me for stealing cookies. After all, Daddy, I was only 9, and they put me in the pantry alone scouring knives with the cookie jar beside me. And then they later jerked me away from the dinner table, boxed my ears, and told all the children I was a thief. Do you see why I ran away? They caught me and for 7 days tied me to a stake in the backyard. 24th March. Dear Daddy Longlegs, Jimmy McBride sent me a huge orange and black Princeton banner. The girls say it won't go with our red room, so I'm thinking of having it made into a bathrobe. It's unbelievable! Sally, Julia, and I are going to New York shopping. We'll stay all night and then go the next day to the theater with Jervis. I've never been to a hotel or theater, and I'm so excited that I can't scarcely sleep. Yours ever, Judy. 7th April. Dear Daddy, shopping was wonderful in the gorgeous New York stores. Julia bought 2 lovely hats without even considering the prices. I can't imagine any greater joy than shopping like that. We met Master Jervis and dined in elegant splendor. How sweet he is! He gave us each a bunch of flowers. I never used to like men, having only known the trustees, but I'm changing my mind. Julia is getting suspicious of me, because I don't have any world experience. She's asking a lot of questions that are difficult for me to answer. Yours ever, Judy. 10th April. Dear Mr. Rich Man, thank you for your $50 check, which I am returning. My allowance is sufficient to buy hats. I'm sorry I told you about Julia in the hat shop. I wasn't begging, and I'd rather not accept any more charity than necessary. Sincerely yours, Jerusha Abbott. 11th April. Dearest Daddy, how could I have ever written such a letter yesterday? I haven't slept all night thinking how impolite I've been. I know you are a kind old dear, and I should have returned your check more graciously. I like to pretend you belong to me, just as the other girls have fathers, brothers, and uncles. But, of course, I don't. I really am alone, and I get frightened when I think about it. But don't you see? I can't borrow any more money from you because one day I will have to pay it back. Even if I'm the best author in the world, I may not be able to repay such a tremendous debt. In my heart, I thank you always for the life and freedom and independence you have given me. My childhood was so sad, and now I feel like a made-up heroine in a storybook. I love you always, Judy. P.S. Sally and Jimmy McBride have invited me to spend the summer at their cabin. We should have great fun. June 5th. Dear Daddy Longlegs, your secretary contacted me saying Mr. Smith prefers I go to Lock Willow for the summer. Why, Daddy? I want so very much to go to the McBrides. Just Judy. Lock Willow, 3rd August. Mr. John Smith, I haven't loved you much this summer. Even though you're my guardian and I must obey you, I was terribly disappointed not to go to the McBrides. You seem to disregard my feelings entirely. In the past, you have been kind and generous to me, and therefore I will continue to care for you. After all, you are all that I have, and when my loneliness becomes too strong, I read again the card you wrote me when I was sick. I am spending my summer days writing in Master Jervis' old playroom. I'm trying to be an author. Yours as ever, Judy. Friday. Good morning! After a long, quiet summer, you'll never guess what is happening. Mr. Pendleton is coming to visit. We are rushing about getting the house perfect. College has introduced me to free conversation, and I long for someone to talk with. Someone like Jervis Pendleton. With my hand on my heart, Judy. 25th August. Well, Daddy, Master Jervis has been here for 10 days and seems to want to stay longer. He's a very sweet man, you know, although terribly pampered by everyone. We have explored the countryside, gone fishing, practiced shooting, gone hiking, and ridden horseback. What a wonderful time! One evening, we climbed up a reasonably high mountain. There, Master Jervis cooked dinner, and we ate and laughed in the moonlight. It's astonishing how much he knows. Judy. P.S. It seems to me that you and Master Jervis might know each other, both living in New York and both moving about in the same exalted social circles. But then I can't ask him because I don't know your name. How silly! 10th September. Dear Daddy, how empty the house is without Master Jervy. How I miss his witty conversation. Big news. He and I sent in one of my stories. The others were terrible, he said. To a magazine that bought it for $50. Also, I've won a 2-year scholarship for English proficiency from my college. I'm awfully glad, Daddy, because now I won't be such a financial burden to you. From now on, only your monthly allowances is all I'll need. Yours ever, J. Abbott, author. 26th September. Dear Daddy Longlegs, I'm back to school. Julia arrived early and decorated our apartment so gorgeously, I feel as if I don't belong here. Also, your secretary's letter arrived. Why shouldn't I accept the scholarship? I don't understand. Even though you don't wish me to, I shall in time pay back my debt to you, and having this scholarship makes it so much easier for me. I have, nevertheless, made up my mind. I will accept the scholarship. Please don't be cross with my independent attitude. Irrevocably, Judy. P.S. You say you don't want me accepting money from strangers. What are you? 9th November. Dear Daddy Longlegs, I am awed. Julia has invited me to New York to spend Christmas with all the Pendletons. Last week was our Founders' Day, and I invited Jimmy McBride. What a gay time we had for 2 whole days, dancing, laughing, and eating. He's invited me to his Princeton spring dance, and I've accepted. A friend. P.S. I'm getting pretty. 11th January. Dear Daddy, your Christmas gifts were wonderful. I love you, Daddy. I'm back at school again and glad to be away from the crushing materialistic atmosphere of the Pendleton home. All they seem to think about is jewels, dressmakers, furniture, parties, and empty talk. I'm glad I don't belong to such a family. I saw Master Jervy only briefly, which disappointed me greatly. He's not like the other Pendletons, you know. He spends his money on socialistic reforms, not decorations. Life has more meaning to me than the New York society. It isn't the great big pleasures that count the most. It's making a great deal out of the little ones. One must not live in the past or future, but now, this instant. Your philosopher, Judy. P.S. I ought to treat you with more dignity. 24th April. My dear Mr. Smith, the campus is lovely in the spring. Master Jervy dropped in last Friday. Unfortunately, we 3 roommates were just leaving for Princeton to attend a ball game and a dance. I should have accepted your permission to go, but I was afraid you'd say no. Affectionately, Judy. 15th May. Dear Daddy, I really love writing to you. It makes me feel like I have a family. My true confession is that I also write to 2 other men. Lately, I've received beautiful long letters from Master Jervy with typewritten envelopes so Julia won't recognize them. And frequently, a very scrawly letter arrives from Princeton. I've decided what my summer plans will be. I'll be going to the seaside to tutor 2 college-bound friends of Mrs. McBride's. they will pay me the exorbitant fee of $50 a month. The last 3 weeks I'll spend at Lock Willow. What do you think, Daddy? I'm quite independent, am I not? I hope you have a restful summer. Don't forget Judy. 10th June. Dear Daddy, how difficult this is for me to write. You are sweet and generous, but no, I cannot accept your offer to send me to Europe this summer. I must begin to earn my own way in this world. Respectfully, Judy. 4 days later. The maid just handed me a note from Master Jervis. He's going to Europe alone, and he insists that my education is not complete unless I go too. I almost gave in to his pressure, but in the end stuck to my earlier decision. I won't be forced. So, here I am, tutoring 2 uncommonly spoiled children and trying to make something of myself so you will be proud of me. Sally and Jimmy have invited me to their camp for 2 weeks. I'm going to go, and Master Jervis wrote from Paris. He's still angry at me for not accompanying him. Yours, Judy. 3rd October. Dear Daddy Longlegs, back at school. Really, I can't imagine why you're angry that I visited the McBrides. Jimmy taught me to canoe, and we had a grand time. I am writing a book which I hope you will like. Yours affectionately, Judy Abbott. 26th December. My dear, dear Daddy, don't you know you shouldn't give one girl 17 Christmas presents? You are the sweetest man on earth. Affectionately, Judy. 17th May. Dear Daddy, Commencement is near, and I do hope you will come. Julia invited Master Jervis, and Sally invited Jimmy. I have no one to invite. Please come. Judy. 27th August. Dear Daddy Longlegs, you didn't come. I know it is hopeless that I will ever meet you. I am devoting my time to my book. It's the most beautiful book you ever read. I am once again at Lock Willow for the summer, but I can't stay here much longer. If something doesn't happen soon, I shall die of boredom. Judy. P.S. I need desperately to tell you something. I'm very unhappy. 3rd October. Dear Daddy Longlegs, I sold my book. I am sending you a check for $1,000. Please don't return it, as I owe you much more than this money. You asked about my trouble. I very much need your advice. You are so special to me, but I must tell you, I have a special feeling for another man. Perhaps you can guess it is Master Jervis. Although he is 14 years older than I, we have absolutely everything else in common. When he is gone, I miss him. Miss him. He asked me to marry him, and I said no. It's because I care so much for him. I thought that someday he might regret marrying an orphan with no social standing. You see, I've never told him I don't know who I am. He went away hurt. I also feel bound to become a writer to fulfill my debt to you. What should I do? It's been 2 months since he left. I heard he was very sick. I'm so lonely. Please help me. Affectionately, Judy. 6th October. Dearest Daddy Longlegs, of course I'll come! At 4:30 next Wednesday. Finally, I'm going to meet my real flesh and blood daddy. Affectionately, Judy. Thursday morning. My very dearest Master Jervis Daddy Longlegs Pendleton Smith. Such a little half hour we had together, but it was the most wonderful time in the world. Oh, dearest, you are so ill and you must get well. I must have you close by my side where I can touch you and make sure you are real. 100 little things might have told me that you and Daddy were the same, but I didn't know until now. Soon you will be well, Jervy dear, and we'll be together forever. Doesn't it seem queer for me to belong to someone at last? It seems very, very sweet. Yours forever and ever, Judy.